Hello and welcome to another edition of Make It, Own It, Work It. My name is Julie and today we're going to be doing a DIY macrame either keychain or earring. Let's see the example. So this one I'll probably use as a keychain. I really like the combination of black and purple. It'll be a little bit big for an earring, but that could be kind of fabulous. I might trim it down if I wanted to use it that way. So this is a fairly simple project. I'll pan the camera down and I'll show you the materials we need to get started. So mostly what you're going to need with this project is time. It's pretty simple as far as technique and materials. So what we're going to want to have is some macrame string. This stuff's pretty heavy duty, it's pretty thick. You can use something thinner, but this is what I have on hand. You'll need a pair of scissors, some jump rings, some tape, and a hairbrush or a comb, and as an optional item, a bead or two. So let me clear all the materials and we can start our project. So what I did first, I took some of my macrame string and I cut it into various lengths. So I have one piece that is quite long. We probably won't use the entire length of this, but I kept it a little long on purpose just in case, so we have some wiggle room while we did our project. And then I have 16 smaller lengths of string. These are not cut to an exact size. You can probably see from the camera angle that they're not completely even. That's okay, because there's something we're going to be trimming down later. So there are 16 smaller pieces of macrame string. I'm going to set those aside for now. So I cut my 17 pieces of string. Got my first longer piece here, and I'm going to take one jump ring, and this is where the project starts. As you can see, my jump ring is actually pretty small. You don't need anything very big, only as big as what will fit the string through. And as you can see, the string is fairly thick, but it will fit through this little jump ring. So what we're going to do with this length is we're going to fold it in half to make a loop, and we're going to tuck it through our jump ring, like so. And then on the end that has a loop at the end of the jump ring, we're going to take the ends of our string and tuck it through that loop. This is just securing the string to the jump ring itself. And just pull, 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 so it makes a nice little knot. There we go. And that is the start of our project. So what I'm going to do from here is just lay my string down flat on the table. One way works better than the other because of this knot here. And this is where the tape comes in. I'm just going to secure it down to the table with this. We just don't want the project to move around a lot, so we've got more leverage when we're doing the rest of our string tying. Okay, so I'm going to grab my first pair of strings. With my original example, I did an alternating color. With this one, I'm going to use the same color just to mix it up. So I will show you the technique for weaving these strings around the center cord here. So what I'm going to do first, take one of my lengths, fold it in half to make a loop, and put it underneath my center strings, like so. And I'm going to take my second piece of string, likewise, fold it in half, and face it the other direction. Now what I'm going to do with this is take the ends from the first string and put it through the loop of the second string, like so. And now I'm going to take the ends of the second string and put it through the loop of the first string. So as you can see, they're overlapping with the ends going through either loop on the opposite side. And I'm just going to pull till they're taut. Just that simple. And at this point, the tape is great for being able to hold on to the string, and I'm just going to gently push my knot up the string to bring it flush with the original knot at the top of the jump ring there. And pull a little more to really secure it. And that's our first round of tying our knots. And I will do this for the rest of my pairs of string. All right, making a loop, laying it underneath my center string, making a loop with my second round of string, putting the first ends of the string through the loop, taking these ends and putting it through that loop. Now we'll just gently pull until it feels taut, and then give it a little tug, give it a little push, and then another tug. I'm going to repeat this 6 more times. So yeah, basically what you want with this craft is just a little bit of time, a little bit of patience. It's fairly easy to backtrack with this. So if you feel like at any point, like, I didn't do that quite the way I wanted to, then you can just stop, retrace your steps, and start over. Which is great for me because my fingers get a little fumbly. We've talked about this over the over the pandemic when we started these live videos. My fumble fingers have been a source of entertainment for my coworkers, myself, and hopefully y'all out there. So again, folding it in half to make the loop. It goes under the center string. Folding my next string into a loop, putting the ends through the first loop. Now taking the ends from the bottom over the top. Oop. Probably could have used stronger tape for this, and that will happen depending on how hard you pull on your knots, which I'm giving it a good amount of force because I don't want this to come undone. There we go. And I'm liking the look of the white string here. I think it's going to look really pretty. At the end, this ends up looking a bit like a leaf or a feather, depending on how you cut it. And I'll show you the technique for cutting it. It's pretty simple. There's my loop. Here is my second loop. Taking the ends through the loop underneath, and taking the ends of this one, threading it through the loop created here, pulling, pulling, pulling. As you can see, it doesn't take very long to get this technique done. It just takes a little consistency. I'm choosing a bit longer strings because the shorter strings I'll want at the end, and you will see why. All right. It gets a little more unruly the longer the formation gets, so just be patient. Keep straightening things out. Making my loop, grabbing the ends. Boop. Oh, before I fully tighten it, I'm just going to move it up along the string and boop. And you see me laying this flat as I go, so the formation doesn't twist when I pull on my strings. 2 more rounds to go. All right, putting the ends through. Something I like about these crafts is the repetition feels very meditative. I particularly enjoyed this on this rainy week. Hooray, we've gotten so much rain. I have frogs singing around my house, and it's just lovely to fall asleep to. Although the cats at my house are not quite so happy about the moisture, but they will be when there's water to drink in the summertime. So this nice meditative craft has been a comfort over a drizzly week. It just made it feel very cozy. All right, that's my last set of strings. So you can see we get this weird kind of centipede looking thing. So what I'm going to do from here is secure my ends. Since this is as far as I'm going with my strings, there's no more left. I, at this point, can either tie this off at a knot here, totally an option. I would like to use a bead here. And the way I'm going to do this is, this bead is only round enough on the inside to fit one of the strings through, not both. So I will show you how I'm going to do that, because I mean, I could at this point just make a knot and call it good, but I want to add a little splash of color to this. So I'm gonna take my string and push it through the bead. Just pick one side or the other, it doesn't matter which. And with this kind of string, the ends do fray. That's why you see me doing this little twisty move to get it through the bead. Alright. This part I feel like is the most difficult part of the project, just because the string will argue with you on its way through the bead. Hooray! And I love this teal against the white. It just really pops. Alright, I brought my bead flush with the spine of my leaf or feather. And you see me pushing just to make sure that everything here is taut. There's no loose parts in the formation. And I'm just going to do a knot, a simple knot. Just make a loop, pass it through once, pass it through twice, and bring it flush to my bead. That should hold it securely. Alright. And for good measure, I'm going to put a knot in this string as well, because it is the center of our craft. It's what's holding everything together. If we were to just cut it right now, it could slip through and basically take out the spine of what's holding all this together. So I'm just going to do another simple knot here, make a loop, pass it through once, if I can pass it through at all, because it's fraying, which is a good thing, and then pass it through a second time. And just gently pull till it's flush, and then give it a good yank. Excellent. All right, at this point we can discard the tape because we no longer need it or want it to stay in place. So we're done with the tape for the project. And as you can see, we come out with this crazy little skeletal looking thing. I mean, you could keep it like this, it's kind of cool, trim it down there. But from here, it's easy to do, but a little bit time consuming. What we're going to do is, now I've been debating on this. At this point, you can either trim your string to the length you want it, which is good in some ways. It's harder to cut the string in this state because our end goal is to fray it like so. That's why I was saying it's good it was fraying, because we want this nice fluffy consistency. A string that frays is actually really useful, and the more frayed you can make it, the lighter and fluffier it looks. So here you can either trim down your strings to the length you want, or you can fluff out the material at this point. It's easier to cut through when it's fluffed out because it doesn't have so much structural integrity, so you can just really snip through easily. However, I do kind of like snipping through at this point because it's a little more controlled. When it's fluffy like this, it's kind of hard to wrangle it all to keep it in line with the scissors. That was a struggle. So I'm going to go ahead and clip these now before I unravel them. And this is totally adjustable. If you clip these and decide you want them shorter later on down the road, you can absolutely clip them in this state. So I'm going to go with kind of a tapering cut. And I tried the technique where I put multiple strings in the scissor and tried to push it down. And believe it or not, the string actually has a lot of integrity. So it left my hands a little sore. So I'm just going to cut them each individually as I go. Ooh, you can see that's already fighting my scissors. So yeah, if you want something easier on your hands, I would suggest cutting it after doing the fluffing step. But if you are determined to just go for it like I am, that's absolutely a possibility. All right. I'm cutting this fairly short, and I'm giving it a nice little taper as I go down. So these top strings are about the same length. You can see it kind of taking shape already. And as I move down the formation, I'm going to taper it a little more and a little more. first example there, I went with the black and the purple to give it kind of like a Halloween-y vibe. I really like that color combination, black and purple. But for this, I wanted to see what it'd look like to give it a nice light aspect with kind of a gemstone color pop. All right, almost done with this side. Ooh, I ended up going really short with this. So this will be interesting to see how it turns out. I'll have to post a picture when we're done. So ideally, I will trim this other side to match. And you can see my taper's not perfect. And that's really okay, because by the time you fluff it out, I mean, you're not really going to be able to tell. And then I'm also going to clip my bottom strings, come in line with my taper. Now I'm not going to make you sit through all of my fluffing adventures, because this is the part that's actually time consuming. Beware, there will be little bits of string everywhere with this project. So do it on a surface that's easy to clean. You can wipe it down with a damp cloth, it'll come up nicely. But there will be little bits of string everywhere. So with this, we're just gonna unravel the string. It's fairly easy to do. You can start at the bottom if that's easier. I just went right for the spine and started tearing it apart. As you can see, it comes out kind of stringy and weird looking. But that's okay. That's where our hairbrush and or comb comes in, because using that to smooth out our rough strands gives it that nice fluffy appeal. And as you can see, I'm just pulling. This is great to do while you're listening to an album or a book on tape. As I say, great activity for a rainy day, although it looks like it might clear up today just in time for the weekend. And then hopefully we'll go back to rain Monday, because we so desperately need it. As you can see, the difference between the unraveled string and the intact string, like so. I'm not going to make you sit through me unraveling this entire side, but what I'm going to do is take my personal hairbrush. You can use whatever brush or comb you have about, and you can just tease out the unraveled string. Now I'm just brushing it flat against the table. The same way it detangles your hair, it detangles the string, and you can see it's already getting kind of stiff and fluffy. Do be aware though, you will find little bits of fabric in your hairbrush, so I'm going to need to clean my brush before the next time I brush my hair, or I'm going to have little white bits in there. Alright, so you can see that we're already starting to get a nice fluffy aspect here. So that is basically it. At the end, you will get something that looks similar to this. As I say, the bead is optional. If it wasn't there, it would just be just the fluff all around. But as I say, I like that little pop of color. This one I'll probably use for a keychain. And I will see about using this one as an earring. This might be about the right length and width, because as I say, this purple one is pretty fabulous, but it's a little giant. If I wanted to use it as an earring, I might trim it down. This one I might trim down too if I want an earring, but I think this is going to look really pretty once it's done. I'll post a picture. Well, this has been this week's edition of Make It, Own It, Work It. If you enjoyed this video, let us know if you've done the craft, like and share, and join us next time. We'll see you later in the month.